She returned Sheikh Hamdan's ring, and he never got over it. She gave it back. Not in anger, not with the dramatic gesture of someone making a statement to be witnessed and remembered. She gave it back quietly, in the specific private way that the most significant moments in his life have always happened. Without an audience, without the management of a public image, without any of the infrastructure that surrounds the official version of his life, and that would have turned the return of a ring into something that needed to be handled rather than simply felt. She placed it where he would find it, and she left, and he found it. And what the finding produced in him, what the sight of that ring in that place, returned without explanation, because no explanation was needed, did to the man who had given it, was the specific kind of devastation that does not announce itself as devastation, and that does not resolve into something manageable on any timeline that the life around it is prepared to accommodate. He had given her the ring in the way that private commitments are made between two people when one of them is the crown prince of Dubai, and the commitment cannot be made publicly without producing consequences that the palace is not prepared to manage. Not an official engagement, not a public declaration, something smaller and more honest than either of those things. A private giving of something physical, something that could be held and worn and that would exist in the world as evidence, not for anyone else, not for the official record, but for her, that what he was offering was real, that the commitment he was making was one he intended to keep, that she was not simply a chapter of his private life that would eventually be closed by the requirements of the official one. He gave her a ring because he wanted her to have something from him that was not words, that was not a promise that only existed in language, something that existed in the world independently of whatever the official world decided to do with his life. She wore it for the period of time between the giving and the returning, a period that the people who know this story speak about as one of the most real chapters of his private life. She wore what he had given, not publicly. Everything in their connection existed at a remove from the public in a way that made the wearing of the ring the same as the wearing of everything else about the relationship. Real in the private world, invisible in the official one, but real. She wore it in the daily texture of a life that was organized around the private commitment he had made to her, in the ordinary hours of ordinary days, in the way that people wear the things that matter to them, not to be seen, but because the wearing is its own form of the truth of what the thing represents. Then the official future began asserting itself in the way that official futures always eventually assert themselves in his life. The arranged marriage to Sheikha bint Said Al Thani was not a surprise. She had known it was a possibility, had understood from the beginning that the man she loved was a man whose official future was being managed by people who had not been consulted about the private commitment he had made to her, and who were not going to allow that private commitment to determine the direction of the plans they had been building. She had known. The knowing had been part of the terms she accepted when she accepted the ring. But knowing something is coming and having it arrive are different experiences. And the arrival of the official future, the specific moment when the arranged marriage stopped being a possibility and became a scheduled reality with a date, changed what the ring meant, changed what wearing it meant, changed what the private commitment it represented was going to be able to produce, given everything the official future was going to require. She took it off. That moment, the specific moment of the removing, belongs to her in a way that no outside perspective can fully reach. What it cost her to slide something that had represented a private commitment off her finger and hold it and look at it and make the decision that she was going to return it rather than keep it. That is her experience and it will always be hers. What is knowable is what she did with the decision. She returned the ring, not by handing it to him in a moment of confrontation, by placing it where he would find it, in the specific way of someone who has decided that the return is necessary and who wants the return to be a statement without being a performance. She left it, and she left. And the leaving of both things, the ring and herself, happened together. He found it. And what the finding did, the sight of the ring in the place where she had left it, returned without the conversation that might have made the return more manageable. Because she understood that no conversation was going to change the thing that had made the return necessary. What the finding did to him is written in everything he produced in the period that followed, not in any single poem, in the quality of all of them. The rawness that appeared in his writing in the months after the ring was returned, the specific note of something broken that ran underneath the language in a way that his work had not carried before, in quite the same form. The sound of a man who has found something that told him, without words, that the person he had tried to keep had made a decision he could not undo. He never got over it. That is the title, and it is the honest statement. Not because he has been unable to function. His public life is evidence that he has continued with grace and with the sustained dignity that has always characterized his performance of the official version of himself. But in the specific private sense of getting over something, the sense that means it no longer lives in the active layer of what you are carrying, that it has moved to the background, that it has become something you can think about without it producing the full weight of the original feeling. He has never gotten over it. The ring has never stopped being present in whatever interior archive he maintains of the things that have mattered most and cost most and shaped most, completely the man he has become and the poet he continues to be. She returned it because the returning was honest, because keeping it would have required pretending that what it represented was still what situation allowed it to represent, because the ring had been a private commitment, and the private commitment had been made in a world that the official one was about to reorganize completely. She returned it because the returning was the truth, and she has always been, in every version of this story, the person who gave him the truth when the rest of the world was giving him management. He found the ring. He never got over what the finding meant. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Every week, I bring you the real story of Sheikh Hamdan, the rings that were given and returned, the private commitments that the official world could not contain, and the truth about what a man carries when the thing he gave comes back to him without a word.